Hey everyone, and welcome to our day early comic review video. I'm Andy.
I'm Matt.
And we're here with infinityfluxcomics going over all the biggest and best books that are coming out this week. This Tuesday for DC, Wednesday for everything else. And we've got some pretty great stuff in store for you today. Some really cool Marvel, indie, DC, everything. So much going on.
Oh, yeah.
So let's get into it. We're going to go over... we're going to spoiler light. We're not going to tell you the entire thing. We're not going to read it to you like a bedtime story, but we will tell you if there's, what the reasons we think people will want to read it, and also just connecting people with stories they may not know they'll like, but that's what we're here to do.
Absolutely.
So what are you starting off with?
So I'm going to start with Steelworks #1. This is the new Dawn of DC book from DC. And this one is really fun. So it's written by Michael Dorn with art by Sam Basir. This one sees John Henry Irons opening his new Steelworks company. It's the grand opening. The entire city's there to watch it. His goal with Steelworks is to make Metropolis a little bit less dependent on the Superman family. Not in a bad way, but he just doesn't want everybody to have to always rely on Superman or one of the family to come save them. So he's using the power source that Superman brought back from Warworld to essentially power the city, to be able to put essentially a force field around the city. But one thing that he hasn't really done yet is talk to the Superman family about that yet. So it's like, how are they going to react?
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll be fine with it, but that's a point of contention there. Meanwhile, there is a guy named Charles Walker who has bought up all of Amertech, which is the company that John Henry Irons used to work for. And then when he quit that company, the stock tanked and all that. So Charles Walker III has bought Amertech, and he wants to destroy Steelworks. He kidnaps a guy who's sort of down on his luck, and we don't really know what he does yet. He does something to him. We're not really sure what yet, but he definitely is out for blood. He's out to destroy John Henry Irons and his company. So a really interesting first issue, really nice setup for things to come. I'm really interested to see what does the Superman family think about this, and will this bad guy destroy Steelworks? So we have our A cover here, and then we have a few really cool variants, including this one by I have a hard time pronouncing his name, John Bogdanov. I think I'm pronouncing that wrong. I always have trouble with that. And then we have this one by Sam Basir. So that's what your interior art looks like right there.
Very nice.
We have our Pride variant by Joshua Swaby. And then we have this 1 in 25 colon variant that we are selling for $15.
I just love as much as they're building up the super family. It feels like each member is kind of getting the spotlight here and there, and building out that team that, a family that's just as big as the Bat family, but never quite gets as much attention other than Superman and then kind of all the rest.
Oh yeah, and they really talk about, they don't just put it on Superman, they talk about the supers. They keep saying the supers, so they are very well and recognize the whole family.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, first up for me is one I'm very excited to talk about, an indie book called In Hell We Fight. So this is by John Layman, who you may know from books like Chew. So he's got a great sense of humor, and the art is by Jock, but not that Jock.
Yeah.
That I feel like I'm so sorry to this Jock
right.
that every time we say his name, we have to say, but not that Jock.
Right.
But the other Jock got introduced to me first,
sure.
So that's the one I immediately think of.
That's how it happens.
But this one, the art styles could not be any more different, which is a good thing. So, and this one's just J-O-K, not J-O-C-K. So this is really fun. Now, the premise, when I tell you, is not going to sound, fun and adventure-y, but...
Sounds rough.
Yeah, so we follow 3 kids in hell as they have died various different ways, and we are going to go on an adventure with them as they are going to try and intercept an ice cream truck in hell. So already you've got a fun basis there.
It's hot down there. You want ice cream.
Yeah,
You
they
go
even
for
mentioned at one point, like, yeah, there'll probably be hell flavors. I think they say one is like rotting seal carcass, but it's ice cream, so we want it. But we're actually set up in the beginning by meeting a one of our kids named Xander. And Xander, I forgot what year he lived in, but it was a couple hundred years ago. And he was, we meet him as he's doing a report on frogs in school. You know, this is like a little schoolhouse. He's doing a report on frogs. And he gets to the end, and his teacher's like, that's a great report. But it was actually supposed to be a book report. And after this, he's like, I hate frogs. Every time I see frogs, I stamp on them. I hit them with a stick. I kick them as far as I can. Well, apparently that's kind of what sends him to hell, because the frog devil comes out of a lake and whisks him off to hell. So it gives you a little idea of the humor here. I mean, the frog devil, too, is a giant frog. It's got like a crown, but it also looks very evil.
Sure.
So that's kind of our main character we're introduced to. We meet the other two kids. One of them we do get a name. I'm not sure if we get a name for all three. But we also have a girl who worked for the Yakuza and has, you know, you can pretty much see what happened to her. But there's also a boy who got hit in the head with an axe and he died. Well, now in this afterlife in hell, he can unlimitedly spawn axes out of his head.
Ooh.
And so she's like, you know, the girl's like, if we're gonna get this ice cream truck, we're gonna need to set a trap. So give me an axe. We all need axes. And so he's just pulling these things out. The boy who died because of the frogs. Now, if frogs are brought up, or water, it seems like, because he drowned when he died, he throws up a ton of water, but in it is like things that might be washed up on shore. So they need a spyglass, and she's like, I'm gonna keep saying this to you till you barf up like a spyglass or something we can see with it. So it's kind of got that sense of humor. It's a little gross out, but it's also,
it sounds like Hermione's like a bottomless bag in Harry Potter.
It's also kind of charming. I don't know. It's very weird. But they have this great plan to get this ice cream truck. You meet some of the demons that are in here. One of them they team up with. But a couple of them, they're just kind of goofy. They're just kind of like, they work in hell. And they talk about, oh, yeah, it's supposed to be raining, you know, blasphemed corpses here in a little while. So, you know, kind of a weather forecast. But all that to set up, they're trying to get this ice cream truck, but maybe what they find is something that's going to launch them on this bigger adventure. So, all that to be said, I really enjoyed this. I thought the design was really great. The art is fantastic. It's very, I would say cartoony, but it's very stylized. And it's a little, like, grody, you know, everything's a little dirty, everything, but it's just a lot of fun. So that is definitely one of my favorite books I've read this week. In Hell We Fight, you can see even like one of the little demons. You get a little bit of Hellboy vibes, especially Hellboy in Hell, for what kind of like hell it is. But just so much fun, a lot of lore building in this. So that's definitely one of my big recommendations of the week. Also, we got a variant cover for this. This is the Ward variant, where you can, initially it looks like, oh, this doesn't look as happy, but you can see the kids kind of sitting in the ferryman's boat and everything. Very fun.
Nice. Next from Marvel, we have Loki #1. This is, I believe this is going to be a 5-issue miniseries. I might be wrong about that. But this is written by Dan Waters with art by Jermaine Peralta. So in this, we learn a little bit about a warship that Loki built a long time ago to sort of battle against the gods. Well, because he is now the king of Jotunheim, he has decreed that everyone in Jotunheim, which is basically frost giants, he wants them all to learn to read. So they do. And in their journey of reading, they learn about this warship that Loki once built. And they break into this Asgardian vault and they steal it. So they take it for a joyride and they accidentally crash it into Yggdrasil, the world tree. No harm, no foul. You know, Thor gets on to Loki a little bit about it. But by and large, everything was fine, except 3 pieces broke off of the boat. And they each go into 3 different directions. One goes to Nidavellir. One goes to Midgard, Earth, and then one vanishes. Like it just goes way off and just sort of disappears. So we don't know what about that one yet. But Loki knows that he needs to go retrieve these 3 pieces because whoever gets them will basically have all kinds of power. So he needs to go track down these 3 pieces. So he goes to Nidavellir first, except somebody may have already found it and somebody may have already started using it. So how is he going to get that back? One thing that I thought was really it stuck in the back of my mind the whole time that I was reading this is at the very beginning it's established that the ship is not built from wooden planks but from the fingernails of fallen Norse warriors.
Gross.
Yeah, and it's not really there's a couple panels where he's actually like digging in like a big bin of Lego pieces. He's digging into all these fingernails and stuff. And the ship is colored white all the time. So I just keep thinking like these pieces that fall off, like whoever finds them, like it's just this big piece of like melded fingernails or whatever, which is kind of weird. They don't really focus on that too much, but I couldn't not think about that as I was reading it. So a really interesting, and it's fun Loki, just like what you're used to, that we've gotten over the last several years. But a really, really interesting book, and I really want to know, like, it's cool that I like these stories where they have to, we've got to go retrieve 3 pieces from 3 different locations, and each location
video
is
game
different.
fetch quest.
It actually kind of reminded me of Mandalorian a little bit. Like he has all these different side quests and things like that. But so it was really fun. So we have our nice A cover here, but we got some really cool variants as well, including this really, really nice Art Germ variant. I really like that one. We've got this one, Loki on his cold, cold throne from Rod Reese. We've got our Frank Miller variant there, just a head. He's stealing Todd Knox's job of drawing just heads. And then we have our 1 in 25 Junie Bob variant, which we are selling for $20.
And a lot of those covers harken to his other personas. Do we see any of those in this?
No.
Okay.
At least not in this one.
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet, but maybe.
Yeah. Especially
Maybe.
with that throne cover. I think that was even called a spoiler cover, so that might give us a little taste of what's to come.
Yeah, I suppose that is kind of what he looks like in this book, but I didn't think that was. I thought that was just okay. That's his current status quo.
Yeah. Well, before we get any further, just want to remind everybody, if you like what you're seeing and you want to pick up some of these books, you can head over to infinityflux.net where you can pre-order these. You can buy these books right now. You can sign up for a pull list. Everything that you subscribe to, you get 10% off of, whether it be A covers or variants or whatever. And that is over at infinityflux.net. So, why not?
Absolutely.
Is what I say.
For sure.
That's what I decree if I was sitting on Loki's throne.
You must all go buy something from infinityflux.net.
Yes, absolutely. Let it be heard. Okay, next up, I've got Joker Uncovered. So, one, I love that they got to reuse this cover that sold out very fast. This cover, I don't mean to toot my own horn, but toot. When I remember when this was going to be a variant cover for, I think Joker, the Man Who Stopped Laughing, or the previous Joker series. I remember seeing this one coming up and be like, that's going to be a big cover. Like, just looking at this, Lee Bermejo knocked this one out of the park. Probably
you
one of
willed
his.
it into existence.
I did will it into existence. If I was smart enough, I would have willed it and bought it, but I
Right.
didn't. I just thought maybe I just left it for everyone else so they could get it. But that gives you a little hint of what this is. So much like they did with the Harley Quinn book a little while ago, this is a collection of some of the best variant covers of featuring Joker. So now you say, oh, that's cool or whatever. But what I think is really cool about this is it's not just like the B covers. It's not just, some incentives. This actually has a lot of store exclusives that unless you went to that store, you ordered them online, you probably never got to see. A lot of very rare incentives, some very high ratios, all that kind of thing, all collected in one. But what makes it better is Joker actually will pop in and out throughout the entire book and give a little commentary on it. He begins it by coming out and saying, like, this is a collection of art pieces that I commissioned for myself. I'll let you see them, but it's going to be the last thing you ever see. So it's really funny. It actually has like a narrative. You'll go through one section and then he'll pop up in like one part. He's like, okay, and now we're going to see some art of my best new squeeze punchline. And she's like, forget you, Joker, and stuff like that. It's really fun. So the next couple of pages are punchline covers.
Okay.
And then he pops up and says, like, some artists really got some of my tools involved here, like my knives and crowbars, so let's look at those. And then the next one's features stuff like that. So it actually does have a narrative, and I actually thought it was pretty fun, written very much in Joker's tone and all of that. But I just love being able to see some of these covers again, hold them in your hand, be able to look at them up close, and getting just that extra little bit of Jokerism sprinkled on top, especially.
It makes me think of the detective, the Batman book that came out that was all the Lee Bermejo covers, but then they made it into a story.
Very much, kind of like that, but less through narrative, more of like you're looking at art pieces.
Yeah. Okay.
But there's even one great part where there's the Frank Quietly cover that Joker's face is very bumpy and stuff, and Joker pops out and he's like, that's a face even a mother couldn't love and stuff. It's just great. It's just really fun. So if you love Joker, if you love art, which I sure hope you do, definitely recommend picking up this Joker Uncovered. And we actually have some really cool variant covers for this. So this is the Otto Schmidt variant. Joker looking through his gallery. And this is going to be the hot one, I believe. This is the foil version of that Bermejo cover,
nice.
which I don't believe was a thing when this cover originally came out. So this is going to go fast. Head over to infinityflux.net where you have the opportunity to grab yourself a copy right now.
I love foil covers. I just think they look so good.
It's the 90s and you coming out.
Right, yeah, that's true. They're a little bit nicer now.
Yeah.
All right, so next we're going to stick with DC, and we're going to talk about Flash number 800. So this is the last issue of this current run of Flash before it gets kicked off with a new series in September after the Night Terrors event. So this book, it is extra size spectacular, as you can see right there on the top there. So this contains 5 different stories written by 5 different writers and artists. Various stories. We'll go down the list real quick. So there's the first story is Jeremy Adams and Fernando Pescerin. This one's really fun. It's probably my favorite one because there's a bunch of D-list villains in this warehouse talking about why Central City is the worst place to commit crimes in because of the Flash. They even talk about how he chased one villain through. It's Mordru. He chased him through time and space just to get a little girl's lollipop back that Mordru took out of her hands, and Flash chased him literally through time. There is a story by Mark Waid and Todd Knock, which is set between issues 6 and 7 of Impulse from back in the 90s, where Impulse has to save Flash and Max Mercury from Mirror Master. They're kind of stuck in the mirror dimension, and Impulse has to figure out how to get them out. That was a lot of fun. There's a story by Joshua Williamson with art by Carmine D. Giandomenico that's a little bit more focused on Barry and Iris and how they go on a date night, but they use the cosmic treadmill to go on a very adventurous date night. That was a lot of fun. There is a Jeff Johns and a Scott Collins story focusing on Hunter Zolomon. We get a little bit more of his backstory, his upbringing, and why he is the way he is. And then we get, in our last story, is written by Cy Spurrier with art by Mike Diodato Jr., who is the creative team on the new series. It's coming out in September. And kind of gives us a little bit of preview of what that series is going to be like. Features Flash taking on Mirror Master while he's also on a date with Linda. She wants a nice night out. But he's counting in between her blinks or something, she's got 3 seconds before she notices something. I can go do this, and so that was really interesting to see as well. So just a really fun send off to this current run of Flash with just a bunch of really fun stories by a bunch of really cool creative teams. So that first one though, that was really cool because they get done telling their story about why Central City is so bad, and then one of the villains said, Central City's not so bad. It was pretty easy. I just, stole this bag of cash from Central City Bank, and you did what? And that was really fun. So, really cool wrap up to this series. And boy, oh boy, do we have the variants as well. We have this Otto Schmidt. We just saw him on the last one. Otto Schmidt variant there. We've also got this movie variant from
John Boy?
Yeah, John Boy Myers. How did I not recognize that? Yeah, John Boy Myers with the movie variant there. We've also got this Michael Cho. I really like this one, featuring various Flashes right there. We've also got this David Nakayama. I really like that one too. He just kills it on all his covers.
I might have to get this next one.
Yeah, this is really cool. So this is Francis Manapul. And I don't know if you can tell, like I'm trying to get it in the light. The lightning strikes and the symbol on his chest are foil. Not the whole thing's not foil, but the glowy bits are.
I almost like that more than the entire
Yeah,
thing because it really
makes
catches your eye.
Sets it off. You can see the lightning bolts in the bottom corner there, all foil. Very, very nice. And then we have our 1 in 25 Rodriguez variant that we're selling for $20. So yeah, lots of good variants on that.
I really like that, especially if people don't realize all those stories are from previous Flash creative teams.
Right.
So when I started reading Flash, it was the Jeff John Scott Collins era with Wally. But then I went back and read the Mark Waid Impulse stuff with back when he was doing with Todd Knock and Humberto Ramos. Yeah. It's just great to see like all of those creators coming back and being able to kind of, if one of those was the time you read Flash the most, you get a new story in your area.
Yeah, so definitely.
Very, very cool in there. Okay, next up, I've got one I'm very excited to talk about. This is Star Wars issue 35. So check out that cover. You've got Luke with a green lightsaber, a red lightsaber, and behind him is Yoda and Vader.
Yeah, I love that cover.
It's a very strong, very iconic looking. So a little bit about this issue. We learned in the last one, Luke is trying to locate someone who can help him with a lightsaber problem. His lightsaber, his yellow one, is not working anymore. It got crushed. He's going to find someone who can repair it. That's where we meet a new character who had, I guess you could say, their first cameo in the previous issue. But this one is first full of Dr. Kuwata. Dr. Kuwata is a little eccentric, but he's got like a necklace of kyber crystals, and he talks to them. Like, he can hear them and stuff. So it's like, is he crazy? We do know that, it's almost like how in real life, like, crystals are always growing and kind of a living thing.
Are they different colors?
Yeah, they're different colors too. The kyber crystals are alive, but he's kind of taking that a step further. Luke thinks he's a little off his rocker, but it's his best option. So he's going to go to him, and Dr. Kuwata says, like, oh, I see what happened here. It's cracked in half. I can fix it, but I need you to do something for me. He's like, I'm not a Jedi, but you appear to be a Jedi, and there's a thing only a Jedi can do that I'm a scientist, and I really want to experiment with this. So he pulls out a red lightsaber crystal. Now, red lightsaber crystal is basically, we all know it as like a Sith or a Dark Jedi thing. It's because it's a regular crystal, but corrupted. It's like rage and hate forced into a regular crystal, and it basically bleeds it and turns it red. Well, he says, I know that a Jedi can unbleed one by putting healing into it and everything. He's like, I can't do it, but I want to find out what happens when you do it. Well, this is where the most exciting part of this issue takes place, is Luke says, okay, I'll try it, sits down, and when he tries to heal it, he's mentally, I assume, transported somewhere else. And that somewhere else appears to be, I'm guessing, in the past, in a Sith Eternal throne room. This is really big because whenever the Sith are involved, we have not seen a whole lot of the kind of world of the Sith post Disney acquisition of it. There's a lot of like expanded universe stuff, but all this is new. And there's a new character sitting on a throne surrounded by what looks like two char hounds, kind of like fire dogs. Oh. And she is very, like, you see her and you're like, she's important. We don't learn her name, but she definitely puts the questions to Luke. She knows what's going on, and kind of gives him a little lesson in what he's doing. So I think that is a very big deal in Star Wars. We'll have to find out what comes of that going forward, but it is the first appearance of this new Sith that, from what I can see, looks like a pretty important person in the Sith Empire. So that's really cool. Now you also see Yoda on this cover. Luke tries to do something else and maybe gets a visit, or he visits Yoda, and you can find out what happens there. Overall, I think this was a fantastic issue of Star Wars that I think was full of twists and turns, very exciting things, and some new revelations to things that I think going forward are going to be very exciting. So that is my big recommendation of Star Wars issue 35. Possible couple first appearances, especially Dr. Kuwata and the Sith that we see. So definitely check that one out. We also have some variants for this. This is the Pride Month variant with Cinta, Kaz, and Vel Sartha from Andor. Very cool. Their first appearance in a comic. We also have this one that is the John Tyler Christopher variant with Boss Nass. Very fun. Is it Europe?
Okay. I was waiting for another. I just want to speak in Boss Nass speak for the rest of the. Oh God! All right. So next up is Deadpool Badder Blood #1. This is essentially the sequel to Deadpool Bad Blood that came out a while back, written and drawn by Rob Liefeld. So this features a first appearance of a character called Shatter. I always want to say Shatterstorm.
Yeah, it's hard to divert your word to a different word.
I always want to say Shatterstar, but not.
That's already a character.
Yeah, Shatterstorm, who is essentially like just visually has the same look of Shatterstar, but is female. So we don't know a lot about her yet. But in this issue, Deadpool is looking for his friend Thumper, who I do believe Thumper's first appearance was Deadpool Bad Blood.
Yep.
So he's still on the hunt for Thumper, but Cable and Wolverine run into him first. They find not Thumper, but Cable and Wolverine find. Sorry. Let me back up. They do find Thumper when Thumper attacks Dr. Van Struten, who was the head of Department H, who was responsible for Deadpool, working on Wolverine back in the day, that kind of thing. So Deadpool then he finally catches up with him. Thumper gets away, but Deadpool finally sits down and talks to Cable and Wolverine and Dr. Van Struten, who tells him a little bit more about Thumper and where Thumper might be. So Deadpool then has to go off to Madripoor, because that's where Thumper is, to get a little bit more information. And that's where he runs into Shatterstorm. So this is on the last page. We don't know much about Shatterstorm yet. But Thumper's armor is able to withstand adamantium and all kinds of stuff. So he's a lot tougher. But when Deadpool is fighting Thumper in Madripoor, Shatterstorm and two other characters that are with her are able to subdue him, and they take him somewhere. We don't know where yet. So just more fun Deadpool. One thing I noticed about this though is Deadpool obviously seemed really goofy, but not like super overly goofy. Like I thought it was a lot more. I have trouble reading Deadpool sometimes because it's so slapstick, but this one was a little bit more subdued. He was still making jokes and saying silly things. It's a little more like the
assassin Deadpool,
yeah,
the mercenary.
It was kind of nice though, so it was a nice little bit of change from some Deadpool that we've had in the past. But if you've read Deadpool Bad Blood or you've seen a Rob Liefeld book, this is a lot of the same, but still really interesting story. It's always fun to see Cable and Wolverine pop up. It feels very 90s again. And then of course Shatterstorm. Who is she, and is she good or bad? We have no idea yet.
Does she have a double sword, one sword with two blades?
I don't remember. I don't know that she had a sword.
Okay,
because
she will have a sword.
Oh yeah, I think. I want to say she had two in something that I saw, but I'm not too sure. But so if you're a Deadpool fan, you will definitely want to pick that up. And we have our A cover there by Mr. Rob Liefeld, but we also have a few variants on this one as well. Rob Liefeld didn't want to do just one cover, so he also did this cover with Deadpool and Wolverine, although Deadpool and Wolverine is on that one too. So we've got another one there. We also have this Panosian variant. I guess Deadpool just got done eating. That's why he's got his mask pulled up there. I love this one.
Yeah, this one's great.
And let me turn it horizontal. This nice Scotty Young variant. That one is fantastic. And then this one's really nice too. This 1 in 25 Kale New variant that we are selling for $20.
So first appearance of Shatter Storm.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, next up, I've got a really fun crossover. It's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles versus Street Fighter. So this is exactly what it sounds like. In this, we are picking... I thought there'd be more like setup. How is this happening? No, when we picked this up, they are mid-fight.
Ooh.
So there's a tournament going on that the Turtles apparently have heard of, and they went to the big city to compete in this kind of martial arts tournament, but, you know, also features the Street Fighter characters. So immediately we get a fight with Raphael and Guile, which is great. Like, this book has like complete fight scenes, which is exactly what you want out of this. But all the while, of course, they are being watched from a, you know, room of computer screens by M. Bison and some turtle villains that you'll have to read it to find out.
Okay.
But so you can tell they're already kind of thinking, you know, we need to keep a close eye on these giant turtle people. But you know, the Ninja Turtles are just having a great time doing this. This is all they want to do. They just want to go test their strength. They want to meet new people, you know, fight up against them, see who's stronger. It's goofy like you imagine Ninja Turtles one is. You know, at one point I think Michelangelo is trying to get nachos from like the snack bar, and he ends up spilling them on Chun-Li.
Oh no.
And it's just, you know, and that doesn't make her too happy considering they have a fight coming up.
Oh.
And she's still not happy about him spilling nachos on her. So it's a little bit of that, but there's a story brewing underneath where a couple of times the Turtles get stopped by someone in the street saying, hey, my loved one was a contestant. They lost, but then they disappeared. Will you help me find them? And the Turtles are like, I don't really know what's going on here. You know, if I have time, maybe I can try to figure out what's going on. But that becomes increasingly a bigger problem. And it may be up to the Turtles and some of our favorite Street Fighter characters to find out what's going on.
That's so much fun. That just sounds like fun. Like,
Yeah.
just pure fun.
Straight up fun. I want a Super Nintendo or a Genesis version of this game with the Ninja Turtles on one side and Street Fighter on the other.
That'd be great.
But it definitely gives you that vibe of like classic fighting game aesthetic, over the top moves. You know, people's faces are flying backwards and big old punches, and all your favorite characters are here. So if that sounds like something you'd like, check out Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles versus Street Fighter. Which, you know, sometimes in the versus books, you're like, oh, they never even fought. No, there's some serious fighting going on in
That's
this
awesome.
one. We've got some great variant covers for this as well, and you can imagine, you know, these artists wanted to do a versus. So we have a Tom Riley variant with Leonardo versus Ryu.
Obviously, right? Like that's just
The
a
leader
no-brainer.
versus their leader.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Then we have this one, which is by Freddie Williams, which is another great one. Which I'm not sure if the Ninja Turtles would be allowed to have weapons in a Street Fighter tournament.
Good point.
What
Well,
is
but the Street Fighters have like, you know, power.
Yeah,
Hadoukens
but
and all
this
that.
isn't Soul Calibur. We're not pulling out. We're not pulling out big old swords. And then we have this one, which I think is great. This is the 1 in 25 Frederici variant for. We're selling it for $15 with a little mashup of all the characters. Which we see Bebop and Rocksteady here. I really want to see them in a fight with, you know, like Blanca and Balrog or something like that. Some big old heavy hitters.
Yeah, the characters that were always like the last 3 or 4 squares, you know, because they were the big bulky guys.
Yep.
Yeah, that would be fun. All right, so next from DC, we've got Poison Ivy number 13. So this book is the first issue in a new story arc, and it's the first issue of what is now her ongoing series. So this originally started out as a 6-issue miniseries. It was so well received, and the sales were so good, it was extended to a 12-issue limited series. But the reception, the sales were still so good that they stretched it out to, or they made it an ongoing. So this is a, I just love thinking about that because like this originally wasn't even planned to exist, but everybody took to it so well. So we have a new story arc here. This is written by G. Willow Wilson, but there's several different artists in this one. They do like a few pages here and there. So in this one, Ivy is back in Gotham after being away. And one thing I'll mention too is I haven't read any of this run yet. I've always planned to catch up because I heard how good it was. I want to mention that though because even though I haven't read the first 12 issues, I didn't feel very lost in this. So they reference like she's back and she's been through a lot of stuff. But I didn't feel lost, so it's a great jumping on point if you've been curious about Poison Ivy. You haven't read the first 12. This is a really good start because I didn't find it confusing at all. So Ivy is back in Gotham and she's staying with Harley, and she really enjoys that. But she still feels a little bit uneasy just being back in Gotham. She goes out for coffee one morning. She runs into Catwoman, who she hasn't seen in a while. Catwoman says, I like this. She said the bats are plural. The bats are looking for you, and Ivy says which one? And Catwoman says all of them. You know when news spread of you coming back to town, it's pretty big news. So she realizes that she wants to go ahead and get the confrontation over with. She has a run-in with Batman at the park, and they sort of get into a little bit, and he doesn't take her in, but they part on not good terms. But after that, she realizes it's great staying with Harley, but I need my own place where this secluded to where I can go and kind of hide, where nobody's going to find me.
She's always been like one to like have her own like botanical garden that she just kind of looms in and works and does all that.
Well, so she finds this little kind of shack in Slaughter Swamp. But and she's like, this is perfect. But it turns out Killer Croc is already staying there. And so they get into it a little bit, but not, they don't really fight too long before Croc is like, sorry, you startled me or whatever. So Ivy says, listen, Croc, I really need this place. I really need you to let me have this. Why can't you go live back in the sewers? And Croc tells her that, well, the sewers are, there's a lot of construction. There's a lot of brand new high-rises, condos and all that kind of stuff going up. And one thing I thought was interesting, too, is she said, that's a good thing, more housing. If we move more people into the city, then we can re-wildlife the outskirts. But Croc says it's actually really, really expensive condos, so actually nobody's going to be living there because it's the cost is so high. She says, that's actually a good point. She says, so I'll make you a deal. If I stop the construction of, if I'm able to prevent the construction of these big high-rises, you go back to the sewer and you let me have this place. And he says, all right, that sounds pretty cool. So she then goes to the construction side of one of these places. And then she finds something that's very startling. And that's where I'll leave it to, so that you can see what she finds. But a really good start to a brand new story arc. Like I said, a really good jumping on point if you haven't read this series yet. And I can see why, I can see why people like this so much, because Ivy, just like her outlook and her interaction, she's bad, but she's not like super bad. Like I just found that really interesting. So I really enjoyed this new issue. So we have our A cover there of her and Harley. Very kind of reminds me of like Little Mermaid when they're in the boat. But we have a lot of really nice variants for this one as well, including this one from Kai Carpenter. That is really cool there. We have this Sweeney Boo. She's fun on the beach.
One of the swimsuit variants.
Yep. Oh, that's right.
Yep.
Then we have the Claire Rowe variant.
And that one's the connecting with the Harley
Oh, that's right.
cover.
Yeah.
So if you get the Harley book that is
we
not
talked
out,
about that on the Comics from the Future last week. So that's the other one. Yeah, very cool. There's the fingers. Yeah, I didn't even realize that. We have this really nice Frank Cho variant. Everything's super elegant, and then there's a can of herbicide right there. We have this 1 in 25 Mindy Lee variant that we are selling for $18.
And then you got to see this next one.
And then this one is really cool.
One.
This is the 1 in 50 Carpenter foil variant. So it's the foil version of the one we looked at, and we're selling this one for $95. But that is virgin foil. I mean, that one looks super duper nice.
Very cool. I can't wait to read that one. That's been such a fun series.
Oh yeah, it's really good.
Like you said, she's bad, but she's not evil.
Right.
You know,
right. Yeah.
Like, she's kind of like, just leave me alone.
Bad things. She does bad things for a good reason, I guess.
Yeah. Great character. Okay, so next up, I have Shazam number 2. So this is from Mark Waid and Dan Mora, continuing this new series for Shazam. And this one's really cool. So in the previous issue, we are reintroduced to Shazam. He's the only one in his family now, other than Mary Marvel, that has the power. So he's dealing with that, and his family are supportive, but they're kind of bummed out they don't have the powers. But he continues to be the big red cheese as he goes out there and does all the, he's a good guy. He goes into some pretty crazy adventures, including having a tea party with some T-Rexes from outer space in the last one. But
that was great.
Yeah,
I love that.
It all comes to a head when last issue when he's being interviewed, and he suddenly has this outburst of very just harsh, mean, very I'm better than you.
Yeah.
And he's basically I don't know why I just said that, but we pick it up in this one. It didn't take any time at all for that video to spread. Now people are kind of questioning, why is he what's up with this outburst, this ego that he has? And Billy doesn't know why he did it. He said, just in that moment, I felt like I was better than everyone else. I felt like I needed to say that, but that's not me. I would never do that voluntarily. But of course, Freddy's going to try to help him figure out what happened. They're trying to think of what villains might be behind this, and just Billy's okay, I'm just going to lay low now. I'm not going to be Shazam. I'm just going to do this. But, of course, it doesn't stay normal in Billy Batson's life when the doorbell rings, and who's at the front door but a T-Rex in a very dapper outfit and a monocle, and he wishes Billy Batson to sign some paperwork.
Oh, no.
So that's not going well for him. You'll have to read to find out what is going on with that. But on the other hand, Billy's out, and a bank is being robbed by a villain that might have something to do with messing with people's emotions. So you'll have to read to find out, but is this related to his outburst? Is it not? If it's not, what does that mean? You'll have to read it. I don't want to give it away, but it's very, very interesting story that they're setting up here with, I think this one's more digging into what makes Shazam his own character. What does the different parts of his powers mean? How does he control it? All of that. The other thing I'll let you know is, I don't know how people read comics. I don't know if you feel like you get to the end of the story and you go, oh, you close it, that was good. I'm going to warn you, this is kind of like for a movie. There is 2 epilogues to this issue.
Nice.
So you get to what feels like the end of the book, and there's an ad. I don't want that ad to make you be and the book's over. Of course, I've got to go through every single page. I don't read every ad, but I just want to make sure I get to that final back cover.
Yeah, I don't feel like I'm done until I see the back cover.
Yes.
And yeah.
So just a warning, if you're someone who feels like the story's over, there's 2 epilogues. The first one definitely is setting up the bigger story of this Shazam run, involving not even the gods, the mythological characters that make up the Shazam name. So you'll have to see that one.
Yeah.
And there is a second epilogue that is setting up the Night Terrors story with Mary Marvel. So 2 epilogues you got to check out and read to the end. But overall, another fun, bright, goofy, you never know what you're going to see next story that, Billy's got a lot going on. You're going to have to see how he juggles with space dinosaurs and, violent outbursts. He doesn't know how they happen. So, great issue of Shazam. Number 2, we've also got this This is the Chris Samney variant. Very classic looking. Very faucet. We have I believe this is John Timms.
Yeah.
Yep, the John Timms variant.
I love that one.
Looks like it could be ripped out of just a page of the book with so much action going on. And we have this 1 in 25 Liber variant that we're selling for $15. If you know about why he's now called the Captain, you get a little hint there. Right. Plus, there's a little T-Rex pirate in the background. This just sums up a lot of this book, so very fun one there.
Zany in all the right ways.
Yeah, in the ways that are not annoying.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. All right, so next is from Marvel, Daredevil number 12, written by Chip Zdarsky, art by Marco Cicchetto. We are coming up on the end of their run. I'm very sad. This has been my favorite book at Marvel. So, over the course, or a couple of issues ago, I guess, we found out that Foggy and Stick actually weren't alive, and when they were basically being controlled by puppets, right? Well, Matt wants to save their souls. So, how does he plan to do that? Well, he plans on essentially. I feel weird saying this on a video, but he essentially plans to take his own life so that he can go to hell to confront the Beast, which is who the Hand worships. They worship the Beast, and he wants to go fight the Beast in hell for the sake of Matt and Foggy and Stick's souls. But Elektra intervened. It looks like he's going to commit seppuku, right? Where like the Japanese, where they you get on your knees, you take a sword, and you run yourself through. Elektra intervenes and says, "Don't do that. There's got to be another way." There's a whole big. It's really nice. There's a whole They fight, but they're also talking about how they love each other, but they have to do. It's a really nice several page sequence there, and then, well, I won't go any further than that because the ending of this issue is really, really cool. We also in this issue get the return of a character that we haven't seen in a while. Definitely not a first appearance or anything like that. But it's a character that we haven't seen since the Charles Soule run.
Wow.
And I won't tell you who it is because I was surprised when I found it. And it's not even and it's more towards the beginning of the issue too. But it's when Matt goes to this cave where the Beast supposedly comes out of every now and then. There is a character there who is kind of guarding the cave because it's said when the Beast comes out, they're temporarily blinded, and this character said, that's when I'm going to kill the Beast. Next time he comes out, he's going to be blinded for a minute, and I'm going to kill him. But Daredevil says, well, actually, I'm going to hang out now, so you can leave, and so that character leaves. But it was cool to see that character again. If you've been reading Daredevil, you definitely don't want to miss this because, like I said, it's coming up on the end of the Zdarsky run, this working towards the grand finale. The last page literally made me audibly say, "Ooh!" Like that. I can't wait to see what that's all about. So a really, really fun issue of Daredevil. Like I said, I've been loving this. My favorite book from Marvel right now. So we've got this A cover right here featuring Daredevil and Elektra, and then we also have this very nice La Roca variant featuring. This is one of the ultimate last look. Yeah, it doesn't say it on here though, but that's Ultimate Elektra, I believe. So yeah, La Roca variant featuring Ultimate Elektra.
Cool. I'm gonna do a quick double pick featuring X-Men number. This X-Men number 23. So in this one, of course, you see on the cover there, the X-Men go up against the new Iron Man Stark created Sentinels, and let me tell you, they put them through the ringer. Only one Sentinel pretty much almost takes out the entire X team. Ooh. So very hard to defeat. So they're gonna have to deal with that. But also, the big thing in this issue I want to mention is we all know about the death of Miss Marvel coming up, or that just happened, and kind of the event that's following it. But Emma Frost and Cyclops have a conversation on a beach in this where she is going to tell him what happened with Miss Marvel, who he was friends with when he was back in kid mode during Champions and all that. But there's some stuff revealed in this that may hint to what is going to come of Miss Marvel in the future. I'm not going to give it away, but definitely piqued my ears a little bit when I read that. Very, very cool. The other one I'm going to talk about is X-Men Before the Fall, Mutant First Strike. This is a one-shot leading up to the Fall of X storyline. And in this, there's been another big attack, which looks like it was done by mutants. We kind of know that they are being set up by Orchis or Orchid, the big anti-mutant corporation. And to combat this thing that happened, the X-Men don new outfits, very like bright white outfits, to show up and help the situation, to show like not all mutants are bad. So this is mostly about that. How did the X-Men change the perception of people? Do they do it, or are people still scared of them? You'll have to read it to find out. But just a fun one-shot, and it's nice to see the X-Men out there on the front lines helping people and calming people and everything like that.
That reminds me of was it the end of the first issue of Astonishing X-Men from several, like 10, 15 years ago, where they finally put on like superhero costumes again, and after they had been wearing the black leather, and Cyclops actually says we're superheroes, all the black leather was starting to scare people.
Yeah, very much like that. They look less menacing in this, for sure. So we've got some variants for these. For X-Men, we've got the Mark Brooks.
I love those.
Window box variant. Very cool. We've got I believe this is the Wernick Pride Month variant. We have the Before the Fall Mutant First Strike variant. This is the... I didn't write down which variant this is, but it's very cool. And that is it for the X books.
Very nice. Excuse me. Moving on, we've got Peacemaker Tries Hard #2. I love this. This is so much fun. So this is a DC Black Label book, which is a good thing because this series feels like it could be a direct continuation of the TV show, where Peacemaker is a little bit dumb and goofy, and there's a lot of crude humor, that kind of thing. And you know, he's popped up in the main DC universe as well, in Green Arrow and Titans and Suicide Squad. He's very stern and not funny over there. So I love that this is a Black Label book, because then they can just do whatever they want to without worrying about affecting other books. Well, at the end of last issue, or during last issue, Peacemaker found a new dog. He adopted a new dog, basically, that he calls Bruce Wayne, because it looks like the dog's like the fur looks like they're wearing a little bow tie. So he's like, oh, it looks like he's wearing a tuxedo like a little Bruce Wayne. So at the end of that issue, the Brain and Monsieur Mala, who was one of DC's various intelligent apes, kidnapped Bruce Wayne, Peacemaker's dog, not Batman Bruce Wayne, and they tasked him with retrieving Deathstroke's DNA. So in order to do that, he and Monsieur Mala break into General Immortus's base and fight a group called the Demolition Team. I've never heard of them before. I don't know if this is like their first appearance. I don't know if they'll ever be in anything again. But they've kind of felt like a version of Marvel's Wrecking Crew. But they were just like in jeans and white shirts, but they use like construction equipment, as you know, they were all big and buff. But they were using like construction equipment to fight Peacemaker and Monsieur Mala. And just the whole thing is just hilarious, like sound effects and like spelling out like ceiling smashed and that kind of stuff. The fight was really fun. And then there is a little twist at the end that Peacemaker didn't see coming, and I didn't see it coming either, and I felt kind of bad for him when it happened. But the whole thing is just really fun and funny. There is a funny panel. If you've seen the show, there was a scene in the show where you see various helmets that Peacemaker has that have various abilities. And there's a really funny panel when he goes back to his house, because they're about to go to General Immortus's lair. He goes back to his house to get some more helmets, and there's a panel of like a dozen helmets, and they all have like labels on it. And some of them is like, what? I've got to know what that one
Yeah.
does or what that one does. There's so much fun. One of them says Bane voice. And I don't know, I don't know what, I don't know if all that does is just give him Bane's voice. But it was really, really fun. So if you're looking for just a sort of a raunchy, really funny, good art, good action, Peacemaker Tries Hard is super duper fun. So there's our A cover there with Peacemaker, and I'm all sure Mala. We have this movie poster variant. It's the same cover, but done up like a movie poster, like a Lethal Weapon cover there. That's really, really fun. And then we have this Tom Riley variant, which is a nice send-up of the Superman cover. I don't remember the issue, but Superman has a similar cover, and now Superman is on his keister, and Peacemaker is in his place.
Yeah, that one's seems very fun. I'm looking forward to
Oh,
reading
it's
that
so
one.
good. I love it. It's great.
So next up, I've got a one-shot. This is Star Wars Empire set. This is the Return of the Jedi 40th anniversary. They've been doing these with Jabba's Palace. They've done it with Ewoks. Now this is Empire. And this focuses on not necessarily just the Empire as a whole, but a new character called Rilo Grinth. And he is just a technician. He doesn't work for the Empire, but he's hired out by the Empire to work on the Force Moon of Endor on a shield generator. He doesn't quite know like what it does or anything. He just knows this is my family business, but I'm going here. It's a good job, my family supports the Empire, so, this is a good payday for our people. But he seems very nice. He's constantly writing a letter to his dad the entire time about, like, oh, the food's great here. And then you see the panel and he's, like, dumping it in the garbage because it's so bad. But he's trying to make the best of it. That is until he discovers that there is some shady stuff going on. And what is actually going on Endor, he's going to find out. And it may be not end too well for him. So the thing is, I'll tell you about this is, there is the first appearance of our main character, Rilo. He's really interesting just because he's kind of a normal guy in the Star Wars universe. Nothing special about him. But also, we'll say that there is some ties to the Andor series that I think are very interesting. Like, if you remember seeing the prison cells in Andor during the 3-episode prison arc, we see those, I'm pretty sure, for the first time in the comic universe, and we meet two characters which they give them names, and I tried to search. I was like, they seem kind of familiar, but I couldn't come up with anything. But there is a character named Kree, and he's a Devorian. I can never say that right, but the devil people, the devil-looking guys.
Oh, yeah. That's all you have to say.
There's a character named Micho or Miko that is another one that's there with him. And their names are said, so I'm like, are these going to be important? I don't know, but, could be a thing down the line that these characters pop back up. So, very fun one-shot issue, just kind of exploring what an outsider's perspective on the Empire is. So they've got this great A cover here, definitely representing the Empire with all the stormtroopers. We have this. This is the main variant. We also have the
Excuse me.
Connecting the Garbett connecting variant. This time with Boba Fett and Elephant, or whatever his name is in the background, the elephant guy.
Elephant guy. I think
Elephant guy, yeah, elephant. Actually, I think it's Elephant Mon. I think Elephant Mon's his name. And we have this 1 in 25 Lionel U variant that we're selling for $25, which I love this cover.
Next up is Venom number 20. This is written by Al Ewing with art by Cafu. So I'm not quite current on Venom, but this does feel like a pretty good jumping on place as well, just like Poison Ivy. It seems like a new start to a new story arc. So in this one, I guess in the previous story arc, Eddie Brock basically he died almost, it seems like. In this one, he gets his body back. He regrows his body. He's given a second chance at life, basically. But when he comes back, he breaks out of this facility And when the guards are kind of surprised that he's back and surprised at what he can do, he describes himself as a human symbiote. And a guard even, like, there's a panel where a guard says, human symbiote? Like, that's very strange. What does that mean? We don't really know yet. But he drives to this small town called Baywater, and he fights his way through a biker gang to get at the person that's inside, because it looks like he butts heads with the lead of the biker gang, and the guy says, "We run this town," and he's like, "No, you don't. The guy in the building does." So he fights his way through the biker gang, gets into the building, and confronts the guy inside, and that's where the issue ends. I won't tell you who it is at the very end. But it was really cool. Like, I haven't read a Venom book in a while, but I liked it. Was good getting back to Eddie Brock. The art in this is really good. I really like his look in this, because he robs. It's kind of like Terminator, where he steals clothes from somebody. It's like a leather jacket and a motorcycle, but the kid has some white spray paint, and he's like, "Hey, before I go, do me a favor." And the next panel is the black leather jacket, but with the white Venom spider on it. So
the kid didn't just spray like "kick me on."
Yeah, that's right. It's like,
I got it.
All
You're good.
Yeah, you're good. So the start of a new story arc, a really good jumping on point if you're interested in that. So we've got a couple. There's our A cover here, and we've got a couple nice variants as well, including the ultimate, this ultimate last look cover there. Although I don't think that Ultimate Venom had the spider symbol, but he does on that one. So that's interesting. And then we have our 1 in 25. Magno variant.
As a wicked Venom face.
Yeah, he's got big old forearms and everything. We're selling this one for $25.
Awesome. So next up, I've got John Kent, or Adventures of Superman John Kent.
Right.
I got thrown off because it's like Dawn of DC Adventure of Superman.
Dawn of John Kent.
Yeah.
John of DC.
It's the John DC, the new John DC book. So this continues our miniseries about John Kent, and he's been in the Injustice universe for a couple of issues now, and this is really interesting because us as like, I played the Injustice games, I've read the comic, who's the good guy and who's the bad guy in it, even though they're both kind of bad. This Superman is not good.
Yep.
Well, to John, he's gonna believe his dad before he believes anyone else, but it's very hard for him in this because all the evidence is pointing towards his dad is the bad guy. So he is going to actually go and confront Batman, who is on the opposite side of the team, to find out what's the deal going on here and what, from your perspective, is going on with Superman. So this is really interesting. We get reintroduced to the Injustice version of Harley. John has some great conversations with Damian in this, who is definitely a different one than he left behind. Right. But also, what I really like is he does make the statement as he's leaving, when they're like, "Well, what are you going to do?" And he's like, "I don't know yet, but just the fact that Alfred and Barbara Gordon are on your side, I think I know what's going on." So John knows that Alfred would never be on a bad team. Yeah. So he's already got his ideas, but John's also going to go visit this universe's version of someone very close to him. You'll have to find out who that is. You can probably guess, but what does that mean? And what kind of advice is he going to get there? So it continues to be a really fun miniseries. I think it's about to wrap up. Isn't it only
it's either 5 or 6, I think.
Yeah, so very close to being over, but the story is far from concluding. So another great issue of Dawn of John. Dawn of DC, Adventures of Superman, John Kent, with issue number 4.
That sounds like one of those X-Men titles where it's got like 17 subtitles or whatever.
We also have this Stephen Byrne Pride Month variant.
I love the jacket. Sell that jacket in stores.
Yeah. That would be great.
Yeah, you're leaving money on the table.
You need to go to Six Flags. Maybe they've got you. Yeah. They've got you one. And we also have this Al Bernuevo variant with Injustice Superman.
That makes me think of the Nightwing issue that's coming up where the whole thing is from his perspective, because we see, So sticking with DC, we've got Batman number 136. So this is, right after number 135, which was the big Legacy number 900. Is it Legacy number? Yeah, Legacy number 901. Yep. This is written by Chip Zdarsky with art by Belen Ortega. So this feels kind of like like a like a little bit of a cool down from, we just finished we finished the failsafe story arc, then we finished the Batman of Gotham story arc. Then there's this, and then we're in July and August is going to be the Night Terrors event, and then September is going to be the next big story arc. I think Chip Zdarsky is going to be on the title for at least another year, so he's got a lot more story cooked up. But they had to fit something in between all of this different stuff. So in this issue, Batman's back on Earth, and he's catching up on what's the haps since I've been on another Earth, and.
So, fellow teenagers.
Yeah. Hello, fellow kids. So Damian and Tim and various other people are telling him what's been going on. He confronts Penguin's kids who are running gambling rooms outside of the Iceberg Lounge. He talks to Catwoman, which is really interesting. And I think that's the next big story is the Batman versus Catwoman thing. So he does talk to her a little bit. She informs him that Penguin is actually still alive, and he's very surprised because he's like, oh, that's the whole reason I got in trouble. Failsafe came after me in the first place is because he thought that I killed Penguin, but Penguin's still alive. So that was a huge revelation to him. But all while this is going on, Zur-En-Ah is sort of lurking in the back of his mind, and even sees him kind of meditating, going into his mind, having a conversation with Zur-En-Ah, who is behind bars, and this is all psychological. It's all in his mind, but he's locked up Zur-En-Ah. But Zur-En-Ah is causing him to question things, and there's a part near the end where he says, I can see the end. No, I can't see it. I can feel the end coming. And there's this really kind of gruesome panel with the Bat family. It's really interesting. So, more to come, I guess, with Zur-En-Ah. I guess we're not really done with...
We saw the hint of it in the end of 900.
Yeah, so I guess... And I was wondering what that meant. I guess we're not done. Like, Zur-En-Ah came out to fight Failsafe. So that more to come with that, I guess. There's also a cool backup story that shows when Batman as Zur-En-Ah created Failsafe, and where he was putting him through his paces. They're kind of sparring, and he was making sure that everything was working accordingly. It was kind of cool because he's Bruce Wayne, he's in the Batcave, but then he kind of sort of changes and puts the Zur-En-Ah cowl on, goes and talks to Failsafe. They spar a little bit. Then he takes the cowl off and he goes back to being Bruce, which is pretty interesting. So yeah, it's just more great Chip Zdarsky Batman goodness. So we've got our A cover there. Is that one? This one is by Jorge Jimenez. Yeah, that it looks a
very different style.
It looks almost like Jock.
Yep.
That's why I had to double check. Jimenez on that cover, and then we have got a couple of variants here. This is our 1 in 25 by Stefan Sajic. We're selling that one for $16 with some Tim Drake action on there. And then this really nice one, this 1 in 50 Art Germ foil variant. Talking a lot about foils today. We're selling that one for $40.
Well, next up for me, we've got... Make sure I got the right one. This is Spider-Man issue number 9. So continuing on with the storyline where Spider-Man has increased his spider sense, but now it's kind of out of control. He is just constantly on. He's constantly, everything from, someone's about to get hit by a train to these two guys are arguing basically about their D&D match. That one guy didn't heal him when he should have, and Spider-Man has to split him up. So really fun stuff going on there. But also, we do get more Spider-Boy. He's pretty much appearing in every issue now. And a little, I wouldn't say a ton is revealed about it, but a little bit more where he even does say, kind of like, don't make me say it, I was Spider-Man's sidekick. Okay. So he does kind of reveal that because Gold Goblin, Norman Osborn, and Spider-Boy meet and have a discussion. You'll have to read it to find out. But I thought it was really cool. I like it wasn't a super dense issue with so much story, but it was a really fun issue that I think is leading to maybe a bigger story coming up. We also have this Genolette variant as well that's really cool.
Yeah, I like that one. So the last one I have to talk about is, let me make sure I get the title right. New Talent Showcase, the Milestone Initiative. And this is a partnership between DC Comics and Ally Bank, which I had to research that. I didn't quite understand that. But basically what this is it's a story, it's a anthology. But this is one thing I'll say real quick too. This is a beefy book. This is a big old square bound book, and it's $4, which I found very, very interesting. You know, normally these big things are like $10 something. So a big $4 square bound book featuring a bunch of different characters from the Milestone universe. So back in May of 2022, 12 writers and artists teamed up with DC Comics to sort of hone their skills and you know, with some of the best creators in the business. Well, a year later, these are the stories that they came up with. This is their first published work. So all the creators in here, this is their first published work. So if you want to get in on early on some creators, if you like to follow creators on with what they're doing, you may want to pick this up because they may pop up in some other books along the way. The story that I liked the best in this one was with Icon. That you know, because Icon has been alive for a couple hundred years. I don't know a lot about it. He's an alien, right? I think. Yeah. But it showed him from in various points in history from the late 1800s until now, and how he fell in love with somebody, but she aged, he didn't, that kind of thing. It was I really like that story a lot. Just seeing, you know, how that sort of how his experiences back in the late 1800s sort of informed how he is now. So a lot of different stories with a lot of different Milestone characters from a lot of different creators. Like I said, I think it was I don't know if it was 12 stories exactly, but a whole bunch of different stories in this book, and only $4. So that is a pretty good amount of comic for such a low price. This is the only cover though, but yeah, the New Talent Showcase Milestone Initiative.
Very cool. And my last one, just real quick, is Star Wars Yoda. This is issue number 8. And this is just really great if you're a fan of like Clone Wars. You've got Anakin and Yoda teaming up, going to the planet Galatha to stop the production of mega droids. So if you're a fan of Clone Wars, you like that era, you like seeing Anakin, you know, pre-Darth Vader, this one is just really fun. But I think a big thing about this one is this great Okazaki variant.
Oh, I like that one.
Okazaki did a variant before, but it was an incentive. This one is open order, so very cool in there. And we also have the Garen Pride Month variant. So that was a lot of books we went over. We do want to tell you some of the other books that are coming out this week. So starting off, we have Captain America: Sentinel of Liberty number 13.
Fantastic Four number 8.
We have Groot number 2.
Immortal X-Men number 12.
We have Invincible Iron Man number 7.
Red Goblin number 5.
Dark Knights of Steel number 11.
Joker: The Man Who Stopped Laughing number 9.
We have Ambassadors number 6. I think it's the last issue of Ambassadors.
Yeah.
I'm very interested to see what happens in that.
Well, hopefully there is more though, because that's so good. Disney villains Maleficent number 2.
We've got Fence Redemption, the return of the Fence series.
Frank Frazetta's Death Dealer number 13.
We have I Hate This Place number 9.
Noctera number 15.
We've got Phantom Road number 4.
Sonic the Hedgehog number 61.
We've got Spawn number 342.
Star Trek Deep Space Nine: The Dogs of War number 3.
Star Trek Defiant number 4.
Star Signs number 2.
Street Fighter 6 number 3.
Yeah, that's not 63, right?
Yeah, not number 68.
Walking Dead Deluxe number 64.
And Exo Manowar Unconquered number 3. So we just went over about 20 books and all their variants, plus told you about all the other stuff coming out this week. Don't forget, you can head over to infinityflux.net where you can pre-order any of these books. You can subscribe to these series, and you know, we'll love you forever.
Absolutely.
That is our guarantee. So thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to check us out on our next show, Comics from the Future. We're going over all the comics that are coming up that you can order coming up this Friday. So thank you all for watching. And until next time.
See you later.
See ya.